Greetings and welcome to Live from Caid. Tonight's special guest is Her Royal Majesty of the Kingdom of the East, Queen Margarita de Siena, and featuring a live performance by the Honorable Lord Thomas True Whitehart. Me, I'm your announcer, Master Bjorn of the Northern Sea. And here's your host, Master Laertes McBride.
Greetings and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this week. We took off last Monday because we did a special pre-show for the Caid online court. So we took a break, but we're back and we have a great show tonight and have really some good people lined up for the rest of the month. So let's do the little housekeeping thing we usually do at the top of the show with some Caid-centric news. Just a reminder that the next Royal Thursday, with an update from their Majesties, is going to be on Thursday, June 11th. So not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, we will hear from their Majesties. And then following that up on June 20th is our next Caid online court. Don't have anything else on that because there's nothing going on here in June for real practices or unfortunately for the baronial investiture that was coming up. So let's just go ahead and move over and have our good friend Bjorn join me now. And here we go. Hi, Bjorn.
Hello.
So how are you today?
Doing quite well. It's a little warmer than normal, but then again, is it, considering it's California and usually it's frying egg on the sidewalk time in a lot of the places here. So maybe we shouldn't be complaining too much about that. When there's a lot of other things going on outside, we should be a little more careful about.
Yes, and we put this show together to try to get information out in front of people, to entertain people. Well, not my part. To highlight the talents within the kingdom and to help build that sense of community that we miss by not being in the room together. So I think embracing that sense of community, that we're all in this together and that we're here to lift each other up, is something to keep in mind during the times that are going on right now. And I don't want to dwell on those because we're here for a different reason. So I got started our show with this. So did you see the latest video? I believe it was Glenn Aubin or Meridius. It was Meridia's rapier video. Did you see that?
I did indeed, yes. And they are once again showing that that those Southerners take their hospitality with their blades very seriously. So,
right, and you know what I'm going to say. I almost made it to the end of the video, and then a puppet appeared. So
I'm not entirely certain what's going on with puppetry in the SCA because I mean I remember seeing in arts and sciences competitions shadow puppets and marionettes and things like that being done in occasionally at arts and sciences, but not to this level. We've really embraced our inner outer puppet, and I'm not sure what that says really.
Sorry, you threw me a loop for with shadow puppets for a minute. I was thinking something else, but
ANS, not war.
Arts and sciences. Always want to say arts and sciences because ANS sounds like something completely different. Anyway. Speaking of arts and sciences, one of the things you like to do is highlight a couple of websites for people to check out while they're in the house. So I will turn it over to you for that.
Thank you so much. So one of the best things that we've been able to do lately is not only see what's going on for our arts within the SCA, but also the sciences. In particular, how do we practice the mechanics of the things that we do? And I'm very pleased to say that we're going to have one of those in just a minute. But one of the first things I wanted to talk about is a sort of oblique to our guest that's coming up. This actually is from the Kingdom of Ildermere, is the Boxwood Project. It is a series of 16th century miniature carvings, boxwood carvings, and it is done at the Art Gallery of Ontario. Ontario, until some years ago, was actually part of the East, but now it is in the Kingdom of Ildermere. And these are truly magnificent miniature carvings that are done as boxwood. So they are walnut shaped or spherical, and then they are opened up to show far more intricate pieces. And they're truly magnificent. And it's a project that they have been working on for quite some time. This is towards the later period of the SCA for us, that's 16th century work, but it is truly phenomenal. And some of the detail they have on some of the high-res pictures, I mean, you can see how individual wood grains themselves were carved around to create some of the reliefs inside. It's truly magnificent. And then the second thing we're going to talk about was what I just mentioned earlier in talking about sciences, and in particular, our martial sciences. Now, I know I talk about the arts a lot here, but what drew me to the SCA, what drew a lot of us originally to the SCA, was seeing the combat, whether that was rapier or unarmored or heavy fighting for a lot of us. And what a lot of our people are doing, since we are unable to meet each other at fighter practices or tournaments, is show some of the things that we do to keep ourselves honed or to keep our practice going on the Pell. And that is through the Facebook Known World SCA virtual fighter practice. There are some amazing classes. There have been some fantastic, I would almost call them, it's almost like a society TED Talk, where one of the ones that I watched was, I deliberately did this because it was about not being a storm giant. So what to do as a fighter when you're not a giant. I am a larger person, but most of the people I face are not. So it was kind of neat to see the mechanics of how I would address someone that was significantly smaller and, let's be honest, faster than me. But there are a number of great fighters across the known world, dukes of every stripe, and performers of all the different types of weapons forms. And it was a magnificent resource that we have available on Facebook. And I heartily recommend those of you that are starting to itch and you just more than throwing the Pell or just more than practicing your technique, what else can you do? I recommend going there. It's a fantastic place for us to view, since we can't see each other in person just yet.
Well, that's awesome. I'll have to check out the little miniature carvings. That sounds fantastic. So we have a very special guest today. You want to introduce the guest that we have for the interview?
I do indeed. So coming to us from the second kingdom of all time, we have Her Majesty, Margarita de Siena, from the Kingdom of the East. We're very, very happy to have her with us. And so we're just so honored to have Her Majesty visit with us today.
All righty. Well, Bjorn, thank you very much. Let's bring Her Majesty in. But that means, of course, you have to go away for a moment. And everyone, let's welcome to Her Majesty in right now. Hello, Your Majesty.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you guys so much for inviting me in.
Well, you know, when we're talking about guests and such, and one of the reasons we started this up, I thought it would be a great idea to reach across the country and see how our friends that are facing similar challenges, what we have in common, perhaps what y'all are doing different a little bit, and just have a conversation. And you know, we're not going to see each other at Benzig this year, so thought it'd be an opportunity just to get out there and say hello and really just kind of share the information that we have. So, so how long have you been up on the throne?
I stepped up in October the 5th.
Okay. And so y'all have heirs, right? You have
yes, I do. I have two male sons. I have Albrecht and Tyndall.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure y'all are facing the same challenges that we have heirs out here in Caid about coronation and the transition and such. How have y'all been handling it out there?
We've kind of been holding off on it. We have a scheduled drop dead date, but we are hoping that we can gather together, hopefully later in September, is our hope, so that we can. It's a monumental thing for for the East. It's the first time we've had a same-sex couple that'll be on the throne, and so we definitely want to do that in front of everybody and as a joyous celebration. So we're hopeful we'll be able to do that and come together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the challenge we've been handling too. Is it's going to be a first reign for their highnesses, and we want to share those moments with everyone and make it special. So I know. And now, when was your coronation originally supposed to happen? You're stepping down originally supposed to happen.
In April.
Oh, so you got extended. So
we've extended, but their highnesses and myself and Maeve, who is our kingdom seneschal, have been working as a team behind the scenes and just kind of coming together to kind of help figure out where we can go and what's best for the East Kingdom.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean that's the main thing, is what's best for the populace and the health of the kingdom.
Absolutely.
So I know y'all are basically the Eastern Seaboard, right? You're that whole chunk, New York and Pennsylvania,
right
and New Jersey. Yeah, to the right up. So in outside the SCA, your area was one of the ones most dramatically impacted by what was going on with what is continuing to go on with COVID. And I know it's affected us getting together and impacted people we know. And so I was wondering, really, what have you seen that's really inspired you? How people within the East Kingdom have really risen up to the challenges?
Oh, I get to brag. My populace is phenomenal. I have been overjoyed with them and their dedication, not only to the SCA, jumping in and making sure that our community is working together, but their dedication to the community at large. We've been trying to keep tallies of the donated masks, face guards, and things like that. We're over 6,000 already, and that was the last count for court, so that doesn't count the last couple weeks. They have like over 300 face shields. On SCA note, they've been cranking out toys and things for our toy box. So we started a toy initiative for the kids, Toys for Tigers. And I've been mailing out where the kids will usually come to an event, and at court we have a toy box and they get to chase them, and it's a whole lot of fun. So we've been sending that out just to kind of give a smile, and the populace has really jumped in with making toys and transporting things back and forth. It's been phenomenal. Like, my populace has stepped up not only in the SCA world, but in the mundane world, and they're incredible.
That's just so inspiring to hear. I know that out here in Caid, we've done a lot and helping out our neighbors and helping out with the situation. But 6,000 maps, that's incredible.
And that's low.
Wow.
That's a low ball, because I know it's 6,000 plus, and that was 2 weeks ago.
Right. That's amazing. Just so you know, Their Majesties of Caid are actually watching the show right now. So if you want to give a shout out.
I believe His Majesty actually had a very interesting question just now, as Laertes.
Oh, right. Read it.
Yes. So His Majesty was asking, and I'll try and be as honest as I can, since I'm trying to not use his words against him. So, does Your Majesty have a secret on how to avoid burnout with this extended reign? Just speaking apropos of nothing, perhaps.
So far, my populace is phenomenal. Like, I get at least once a week, I get a random message, and usually they're from somebody who I may have met at an event, but I'm not sure. And sometimes I get them that just say, "We've never met, but," and they're always positive and encouraging. And so, like, that's helped a lot. The fact that their highnesses and our Kingdom Seneschal Maeve are all working together behind the scenes, it's, splitting that work up together, and has helped a lot. But I'm still energized and still going, and so
I know
that's my best suggestion.
You're super peppy, and it's after 10 o'clock your time, so I'll be drinking while you're drinking. As if on cue. If it looks like water.
Perfect timing.
Oh, and by the way, people love your necklace. We were talking about it before.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I know there's some differences between East Kingdom and how Caid does stuff, right?
Absolutely.
One of the things I always hear about is the curia that you guys have each reign, right? There's one each reign, is that correct?
One or two, yes.
Okay, and
There's
so what really is the structure of the curia and what gets accomplished during it?
Our curia meetings are open to the populace, but mainly it's where we introduce new laws, new concept, new ideas, and people can come. And what I really love about the East Kingdom is, though according to our laws, you don't have to. Usually, we always let the populace speak so that we can share opinions and kind of take a poll to see where everybody is feeling. It's an amazing process because you definitely get people who are very confident and have opinions. And there have been times where opinions have swayed other people and we've come together, and it's also a good place just to share information and check in. And so it's really a nice interaction where people can voice and share together.
That's fantastic. We we have Privy Council for the new reign, and it's kind of similar but not quite. So and let's see. Oh, and since we touched on Pinzik, I know that must have been rough because that is the biggest war within the SCA, and especially for your kingdom being a principal.
Yes.
So,
it was a hard news to swallow. Their highnesses were very disappointed, but everybody is, like, our warlords and things have rallied together and are still working and encouraging the populace and each of their different sections, divisions. And it's just been amazing, like how everybody's kind of stepped up just to keep that positivity and the momentum and the togetherness.
Right. It's fantastic. Yeah, we had to postpone for a year our Great Western War in October. For, of course, the same reasons. But I believe Cooper Lake kind of has shut down for the whole year is the last thing I saw.
Yes, they have. They're just closing so that they can be open for next year.
Yeah, well, and let's kind of get a little bit of perspective. So, if you don't mind, how long have you been in the SCA?
I've been in about 12 years. So I'm a youngin. But I've lived in I've lived in 2 kingdoms, played in 3. I was taught old school SCA, so it's been like I was taught old school SCA, like opinions and things. I definitely view my position as me working for my populace. It is like I was like old school, you're there because they believe, and things like that. So I've enjoyed this experience a lot.
Right.
But I like it's all about the people.
Right.
Like in before, like singing and barding, and I was a service monkey, and now it's just a different kind of service.
Right. So what other kingdom did you live in?
I lived in Ethelmark originally. I lived in West Virginia in Ethelmark, which makes it really funny because it's West Virginia shaped. I'm not going to do it because then I'm flipping people off. But I lived in this part, which is surrounded by Atlantia and the East. And to get to an Ethelmark event, you had to drive like 3.5 hours or go to Atlantia and the East in 20 minutes. So I played a lot with Atlantia and East, even though my home address was Ethelmark.
So a couple of last things, because I know it's a little late, but those standard questions you always want to ask is, and I think I already know the answer to this one. What would be so far the singular favorite thing about your reign? Because this is your first reign, right?
It is.
Right. So, well, what's your favorite thing so far about the reign, other than this show, of course?
Well, I mean, the show, of course. The people, like, honestly, that moment when you call someone up is great, and that moment where they hear their award is great. but that private conversation where I get to lean in and I get to tell them the things that were told to me about them, and that moment where I'm like, you're amazing, and this is like that encouragement and that smile on their face. That's my favorite. That's absolutely, like, it makes it the most rewarding job ever.
And so here's, and we won't. No one's watching. We're not recording right now. So, would you do it again?
I would. I think I would. I might need a little break, but I think I would do it again.
That's awesome. So, one of the things we talked about, warned you about, more likely, is we like to take a guest and do a little trivia with them. And I want to do a screen grab with that expression right there. You have no idea. I don't tell a guest what it is. I just warn them.
No clue.
So Bjorn, if you could please announce what it's going to be as it comes up on the screen right now.
Lions and tigers and griffins. Oh my!
No.
That's right. So, these kingdoms known as the Tiger Kingdom, right? That's their heraldic creature that's associated with it. And it just so happens a lot of other kingdoms have a creature that's associated with them. And that's Crown. I'm sure you're very aware and familiar with your other cousin kingdoms. I'm sure if I said dolphin, you are like, oh, well, that's associated with Caid, right? You were going to say that because we picked a dolphin with a singular purpose. Anyway, so we'll start easy. We'll see if you can guess the kingdom by the heraldic creature. Okay, so easy one. A dragon.
Midrow?
There you go. Yeah, that's one of them.
Got one.
We'll just stop there. The second one. There's another kingdom to the east of you that has a dragon too.
Dragonfall.
Yep, there you go. See? Two for two.
We can stop now.
Oh. So let's see. There is actually a lion in one of the kingdoms. Oh, I think your perfect record's about to go down the drain.
Yep, no, it's done.
I would say the kingdom starts with an A, but that's like half the kingdoms. So, Ontier actually has a lion. Yeah. Oh, we love Ontier, right? Yeah, I can tell.
Absolutely.
How about a ram?
Glenalbin.
Yes, I'm gonna say. Yeah. I watched him Sean bounce up and down on that one.
That's just me breathing.
Oh, a stag. No, not the parties you do. I'm talking about that would be the Outlands.
I was gonna say it's nope.
No. Okay, so that leaves the Griffins. Now there are actually two kingdoms that have Griffins in their arms. Oh, and they are A kingdoms. Does anyone? Okay, let's see if anyone out that's watching can guess the two A kingdoms that have Griffins. One's new. What's the newest kingdom? Avical. You're right. There you go. And then since Avical has one, this other kingdom has to have two Griffins, and we'll go with Artemisia. Artemisia has two Griffins. So see, animal friends are popular. Well, anyway, thank you for playing along. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. We got answers in the.
I was hoping they'd come up quick enough so I could read them.
Exactly. It's that delay. Well, you know what? I want to thank you very much for taking time out and visiting with us today. I think it provides a good opportunity to see that we're all in this together. And oh my gosh, you're probably the most effervescent guest I've had so far. So the energy and the positive feelings and I hate saying bubbly because that feels like that makes it too small. Just the goodwill and the positive energy is amazing. I want to thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight. And we look forward to the continuation of your reign. And I know you look forward to the end of your reign. So
best of luck to best of luck to Tyndall and Albrecht as they assist what needs to be done for your reign. And I would just like to say, as the artsy person, thank you very much for being the kingdom that controls and guards the only Viking settlement in North America, since Lanzo Meadows is technically part of the East, because it's in Newfoundland, and so it is part of your kingdom. So you control, you guard, you guide all of that Viking research that we have, and as an artsy guy, I appreciate that very much.
And Bjorn, thank you for speaking up. You reminded me that I always forget. Do you have a question for Her Majesty before she goes?
The only question I have is actually, now I have called doing things online, doing things ethereal for some time. And I noticed that your kingdom has been very proactive in what you refer to as ethereal courts. Yeah. I would say that, they're every 2 weeks or something like that.
It's every 2 weeks. Uh-huh.
And so because you have such a large geographical kingdom, and also you have so many people, how long are those courts right now, given that so much time in a court that's in regular space is people walking up and walking back and waiting for folks if they didn't hear their name? So online courts tend to be a little bit shorter because things are a little bit quicker, but even so, you have so many members of your populace. How long do your courts normally last?
Well, right now our courts are about 40 minutes, but we actually have not been doing official OP awards. We've been doing something called the Inspiration Initiative, which is recognizing our populace not only for things inside the SCA, but also things that they've been doing to help with this interesting times that we live in. So things like making masks, or taking food to neighbors, or we have a couple that just like post online daily questions or animals and things like that, just some positivity that they share, and the populace writes them in. And so we've been recognizing our populace that way. We're going to start doing a couple awards this next court. We're going to see how that goes. It's a lot different process to try to make it still very special for that participant when we can't physically have friends and orders come up. So we're still working on that process a little bit, but it's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
So, I'm sorry, go Bjorn.
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for that answer. And it is, I figured it would not be truncated as much, given that you have so many people that are doing so many amazing things for first responders and for the food banks and for the children, with all the work that you're doing. I mean, the toy chest is known all throughout the known world, and the person who gets to carry it, that is a great honor. And I'm so very pleased that you're able to continue to do that even in these times. So thank you.
I have one quick anecdote to share about doing live courts. And we've been doing one a month. Well, I have, Her Majesties have. And the first one that we did, we're using it kind of a little bit more produced. And they did an invitation to a member to the Order of the Chivalry who happened to be in Western Seas or in Hawaii. So we, as soon as this name was announced, we clicked over, because we're on Zoom, we clicked over to show his reaction when his name was announced in court. And it's the best reaction to an invitation I've seen, because the first thing he said after he got over the shock was, "I should have worn pants." So
I love it.
You saw him from here up, so he's in a tunic. Yeah, it's Hawaii. So anyway, with that inspirational anecdote, I want to thank you very much for your time. Have a great evening, Your Majesty. And again, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yes,
thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you so much. So, fantastic. Oh my gosh. What a sweet lady. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. And one of the longest serving monarchs, given the situation that we're in, the pandemic. So I know that their Kingdom Seneschal and their heirs, they actually have a YouTube video they have on their Kingdom page that talks about that all four of them, Her Majesty and the heirs, have messages that they give to the people. So they're trying to keep folks aware and abreast of what's happening. And so considering how hard hit the East Coast was, I think they're doing a bang up job, really.
Yeah. It's inspirational, and you know, it's just wonderful to see. And speaking of wonderful to see, that's called a transition. Who do we have coming up next?
One of my dearest friends, and one of the people that has truly been a bard in just about every sense of the word. It is the Honorable Lord Thomas Whitehart, called True, who will be performing for us this evening. And just when you think, okay, he only does Celtic stuff, or he only does Viking stuff, or maybe we know him as one of the greatest Santa Clauses ever. Kids, that's not true. He's just a friend of Santa. And Your Majesty, he's not really Santa. He's just a friend of Santa. Okay, Alexander, I hope I cleared that up. Otherwise, but no, he does so much more. And we're really, really happy to have him with us this evening performing. So we'd like to welcome him very much.
All righty, and here he comes. All right, about now. Well, hello.
Hello there. It's so wonderful to see you all. How are you doing?
It's great. I feel like I'm in a romper room that you're looking in the camera and you can actually see me.
Yes, well, you said dress up for the occasion, so I got out the Goodyear turban.
That's not. I was afraid it was a storm cloud.
Oh no.
So as Bjorn was talking about, you're so well known as a storyteller, and one of the things I've always admired through the years with you is how you share not only your stories but the skill and knowledge that you have. I mean, you've spent many times with my daughter and kids of all ages, and even more interested older people, to help them hone not only their storytelling skills, but to help build the confidence to get up in front of people and tell stories.
Yes,
because that's not easy either.
No, public speaking is number one fear in the U.S. and it doesn't matter whether you're the bravest knight or the smallest child. Getting in front of people and speaking can sometimes be quite scary.
That's why this is perfect form for me, because I'm just talking to a little green light on my computer. And as Bjorn touched on, in parts of the year, you're out there helping Santa. And
I am friends with him, and occasionally he asks me to help out from time to time. You know.
Oh my God, that made my whole night. So I know you tell stories from several different venues.
Oh, yes.
And different sources. So I've noticed that you're in a specific outfit today. Could you tell us about it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, as you know, I love stories from all over the world, Celtic, Norse, you name it. But I love Middle Eastern stories. And one of my favorite characters in the Middle East is my good friend, Hoja Nasruddin, a 13th century poet and prophet and a wise man and a fool. And the tradition is in the Middle East, you can never tell a Nasruddin story, but you have to tell three. And with your kind permission, I would like to tell them very quickly.
And you have the floor.
Oh, well, wonderful. So Hoja Nasruddin was sitting in his home when a neighbor came over and knocked and said, Nasruddin, may I borrow your 40-foot tether? And Nasruddin said, no, I'm sorry, my friend. I'm using it to dry grain. His friend looked at him and said, why would you use a 40-foot tether to dry grain? And Nasruddin smiled. He said, well, for one thing, it keeps my neighbors from borrowing it. Well, he was sitting there and another neighbor came over and knocked on the door and said, Nasruddin, may I borrow your donkey? Oh, my friend, I am so sorry. My donkey has died. And just then, hee-haw, hee-haw. Nasruddin, I can hear your donkey. Who are you going to believe, the donkey or me? Well, one more story. So Nasruddin was wandering through the town, as he often was, and he was not a man who was into, being all prettified all the time. And so he was a bit dusty and grimy, and because he was always goofy doing and trickifying, and he was not opposed to climbing a tree if he had to. And so Nasruddin was wandering by when he smelled the most amazing smells, and he followed his nose until he got to a household. And as you know, sometimes in that part of the world, the outsides are not so pretty, but the insides are magnificent. So he went up and knocked on the door. And the door opened up, and there was a tall, dour man, and he looked down, and what did he see? But Nasruddin looking up at him, in some grubby clothes, and his beard all messy, and his mustache all wonky, and everything. And he said, "Can I help you?" "Oh, yes." And Nasruddin looked inside, and he said, "Oh, you have a wedding going on." "We do." He says, "I don't know if you know this, but having a beggar come to your wedding is very good luck. You absolutely want to have a beggar at the wedding. It's tradition." The man looked at the dusty, dirty Nasruddin, and he went, "No, thank you. Come back tomorrow. There'll be plenty of food." And he reached over and closed the door. Nasruddin thought for a second, then he ran off. He ran all the way to a friend who was a merchant, and he knocked on the door. And the merchant opened up the door, and he said, "Ah, Hoja Nasruddin." Now, he knew how famous Nasruddin was. And he said, "How can I help you, wise mullah?" He says, "Ah, my friend, if I could just borrow some clothes from you." "Clothes?" "Yes, just something nice." But of course. And with that, Nasruddin ran inside the house, up the stairs, opened the door, and he went inside and went into the man's closet, and he started pulling clothes out. He went, more of a summer and a fall. And then he reached, and he found the most beautiful cloth of gold coat you've ever seen. It had little gems, it had little mirrors, it had gold embroidery. It was beautiful. And he put it on, and he borrowed a comb and combed out his beard and straightened his mustache. And then he put on a huge turban, a beautiful turban. And then he said, "Thank you very much." And with that, he ran down the stairs with his friends going, "Ah!" Hoja Nasruddin ran back to the house where the man was having the wedding. He knocked on the door. The door opened up. The man, what did he see? But a beautiful old man with smiling eyes and a long flowing white beard and a huge turban and the most amazing cloth of gold coat you have ever seen. And he went, "Oh, a mullah. We are so honored to have a mullah with us today. Ah, my friends, we have a mullah joining us. The mullah must sit between the bride and the groom, and the mullah must eat first." And with that, the mullah Nasruddin was brought in, and everybody was smiling, and he was put right between the bride and the groom. And then the host went, "Bring out the first course." And out came a huge tureen of soup. Oh, it came out. Everybody smell. What kind of soup was it? You're absolutely right. It's storytelling soup, the best kind of all. And they brought it around, and everybody went, "Oh," and their mouths started watering, and they set it down in front of Hoja Nasruddin, and Hoja Nasruddin smiled, and he stood up, and he went, and he took the sleeve of the beautiful white coat, and he went into the soup. And everybody went, "Ah!" Somewhere there was a costuming Laurel screaming. And the father stood up, and he went, "Ah! Mullah, have we offended you?" And he said, "No." And he started to reach in with his other sleeve to get another scoopful of soup. And he said, "Mullah, have we done something wrong?" He says, "No, my friend. But I was here earlier, and when I came to the door, you saw me as a beggar, and you would not let me in because I was dusty and dirty. But yet I come back just a short time later, and now I'm wearing this beautiful cloth of gold coat. And you said the honored guest must eat first. So I'm thinking I am not the honored guest. This coat is. And so I was just feeding it first, like you said." And thus you have heard 3 traditional Hoja Nasruddin stories from the 13th century. I hope you enjoyed them, and it is always my honor to tell stories in the lovely kingdom of Caid, my beloved, wonderful people.
Thank you, Thomas. That was such a pleasure. I mean, talk about a skilled craftsman showing his trade. That was
Well,
pretty fun.
as you know, I love getting out and telling stories around the fires, and I have it on good authority that His Majesty is something of a performer as well. I have seen him; he is a veritable hippopotamic landmass of talent.
I don't think I would ever have described him that way, but now it's stuck in my head. So,
Yes, well,
thank you once again for coming on this evening. I hope you're doing well, and I look forward to seeing you when we're together again and hearing your stories in person.
may I offer a suggestion?
Of course.
Please.
We are in how shall we say interesting times. The stories that we have gotten from our families, the stories we have gotten from our faith, the stories we share amongst each other are like that soup. They sustain us, they warm us on the inside, and they keep us going. This is the time, my friend, to reach out, to hear stories, and to share stories, and to believe in the power of stories. Blessings to you all.
And to you, my friend.
Goodbye,
Have a great
my friend.
evening. Say hello to your lady for us.
Of course.
And you have a great evening. Thank you.
You too.
Goodbye, True.
All right. Wow. Oh, he's so good.
I'm actually wearing the lanyard he gifted me after a performance once. So I'm wearing this Irish lanyard in honor of True. So it was kind of neat. I'm actually surprised that there was that much fabric around, especially for a lanyard. But
I hear him laughing in my ear. Well, thank you again, my friend. That was a marvelous show. Thank you for the insight that you provided. Again, I didn't share who we have coming up the rest of this month, so this will be news to you as to everyone else. And next week, this on Monday, our interview guest will be Sir Bartholomew Hightower. Who's that? Well, that is actually the board member that serves as the ombudsman for Caid.
I know of him.
Oh, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out next week. And also, he's going to not only speak on what the position of ombudsman for the kingdom does, but he is also going to speak about the SCA census that should be coming out any time now. That went out to all members, and what the census is about, the actions that they can take from it, and how it informs decisions going forward. So I think that's going to be a very interesting and informative discussion that we'll have with him. And then just looking ahead in the month, we're going to have the editor of Tournaments Illuminated. We're also going to have Duke Guy. It's going to be here, a full show of Duke Guy, talking about the early years of the kingdom. He'll give us a tour of his castle, and he'll be singing some Irish songs, hopefully with your assistance.
That would be a lot of fun.
And then at the end out the month, we will have Duke Guillaume will come back and be our interview guest and talk about what's been going on with him.
Wonderful.
So, and as always, I extend an invitation to anyone that would like to share their bardic skills, whether it's an instrument or a performance piece or whatever they would like to share. Please reach out and contact us. You don't have to be from Caid if you're watching or listening from another kingdom. Just drop me an email at livefromcaid@gmail.com, and we will work out an arrangement. But anyway, thank you so much, Bjorn. It was good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well.
And you, Laertes.
And don't forget, everyone, we will see you next week. But once again, on this Monday night, we will be live from Caid. We'll see you then.